Are you an independent author with an incredible story to share? Are you afraid your book will get lost in a sea of books? True Vine Publishing Company can help you stand out. We're not just a publishing service, we're your partner in success. We provide personalized marketing strategies and eye-catching covers that will captivate your audience. We will build your author platform and connect with your readers. We have helped countless authors achieve success, and we can help you too. Break free from the shadows, take control of your publishing journey, and make your mark. Visit TrueVinePublishing.com or call 615-44-BOOKS to schedule a consultation.
Hello, this is Timothy Bond with True Vine Publishing Company, and you're watching the next episode of The Right Change, where my guest today is Dr. Thurman Webb, author of Centering Yourself Journal. Dr. Webb, how you doing today, sir?
Doing fine, man. It's good to sit down and talk with you today.
I appreciate you coming on to talk to us about this amazing book. I got a few questions for you because, just reading through it, it's a great book, man. And so I had some questions after reading a few. And I was like, I got to find out his thoughts on this. So first of all, I want to thank you for allowing me to be a part of this journey with you to put this book out. And I always want to do that and give you this opportunity now to kind of tell the world about who is Dr. Thurman Webb.
Man, I appreciate that. First of all, thank you for assisting me in this journey. Individuals like yourself, you really make this user friendly, because writing a book is its own journey. It's its own challenge. And to link up with someone like yourself to help bring it to life, I really appreciate your talents and your skills that allowed that to happen. So thank you for that also.
Yes.
Who am I? I am whatever I choose to be. I tell people all the time, man, I can be anything, but I can't be everything.
Okay.
So, I really, I'm an author, I'm a professor, I'm a consultant, I'm a psychologist, I'm a mentor, I'm a mentee. There's so many things that I embody, but all of those things came together to really create the thought process behind this book.
Mm-hmm. And the thought process, I gotta say, man, and I'm not even joking.
Okay.
Somebody read this book and mastered these concepts in this book. I just think you would have a full, very rich life. And I have to ask, are you like some kind of monk that, I'm reading this like, man, this guy has it all figured out. So are you still mastering these? Tell me about the process of you like developing and really coming to understand, what you provide in this book.
Yeah, it's a byproduct of just kind of being in a suffrage. I tell people all the time, love is a suffrage because you choose to be in that space.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're really trying to create awareness and exercise vulnerability and step more into personal growth, it's not always comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
But what I wanted to do is I wanted to kind of demonstrate and model the process by how I was able to create the wisdom that people seem to value and that I rely on for myself.
Mm-hmm.
And by no means am I done with this process. It is an ongoing process. It's one that will never be finished, but it does not mean that I will not be in search of it.
Mm-hmm.
And so as I go along the way, like I wanted to create steps that create reflection. Reflection is when you take time to think about the things you don't know or you didn't know and create meaning.
Mm-hmm.
And, a lot of times people get caught up in the scripts, like trust the process and, what's for you is for you.
Mm-hmm.
But what does that really mean to you as an individual? How do you translate that language to something that really resonates in your spirit? Mm-hmm. Well, I wanted to create something that had the reader engage with the wisdom that I've been able to create for myself and then cultivate wisdom for themselves. Mm-hmm. So it's more or less a process of, I initiated the writing of this book, But as you go to record in this journal, what ends up happening is that we write the book together.
Mm-hmm.
And that's extremely important to me because I want to make sure that we're always in this together. That is a tribe principle, a universal principle. Your decisions do affect me and mine affect you. And that's okay. We just have to be responsible with that.
Yeah. I saw, and this is not religious, okay?
Yeah.
The book is not religious. But do you study like Hermeticism, or are you familiar with Hermeticism?
I am. I am.
Okay.
You said at Tennessee State University, I am the lead instructor for the only undergraduate course that I teach because I'm a graduate school professor, but that course is the psychology of the Black experience.
Mm-hmm.
And so we really talk about like ancient Egyptian metaphysics, and we
Okay.
talk about what it means to be and to become,
Yeah.
and what it to just be. And even in my practice as a therapist, I talk to a lot of men who are really trying to round out this concept of what it means to be
Yeah.
outside of being a provider.
Mm-hmm.
And so like that was the thing that really initiated this process to begin with. But I've had a lot of conversations with a lot of different individuals, a lot of women, a lot of men, and various ethnicities and orientations. And that's what makes up this book, to ask very soulful questions
Mm-hmm.
that really put people in reflection and create space for them to really take the time to see more of themselves.
When I read The Power of Self-Reliance, which is the second week, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, even in the first and the second week, right? I'm like,
Yeah.
I was like, man, this feels very much like, understanding the God within you, understanding the power within you, which is where I'm like at right now. So that's why I say when
Yeah,
I'm reading it, I'm like, this is exactly where I am in my life,
yeah, yeah,
It's so dense. It's like a really good meal, but a healthy meal, not gravy and like this is
yeah,
a
exactly.
good, meat and vegetables meal. And I'm like,
Yeah,
and this is great. And that's why I was like, has he mastered this, or is this is an ongoing process? I know I'm in that kind of
yeah.
process of really understanding who I am within. But I want you to talk about the self-care is a practice of self-respect.
Yeah, we in this society sometimes we will prioritize taking care of others over taking care of ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And generally it's followed with this theme of, well, that's selfish.
Mm-hmm.
In order to create sustainability, we have to operate in selfishness. It just
Mm-hmm.
has to be a healthy version of it. What we cannot operate in is self-centeredness, because self-centeredness goes after the things that you want with disregard for how it impacts other things or other people.
Mm-hmm.
But what selfishness does is that it allows you to care for yourself as the priority, with the understanding that when you do that, it will increase your selflessness.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Because it makes me more sustainable, and I am the star of the show that goes to impact other things in a positive way.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like it's not hard to understand that as I go, so does the things that I participate in.
Mm-hmm.
But if those things are prioritized over me, then it's just a matter of time before they come to an end.
Yeah.
Also, in doing that, you model to others like what it means to really set a boundary, what it means to really engage or to interact with the things that nurture you. Why? Because these are the things that allow you to continue to grow.
Mm-hmm.
This is what the book represents. Why? It's my time.
Mm-hmm.
It's my space.
Mm-hmm.
It is my opportunity to nourish me. Why? Because there's some other things that will sprout out of me, and others can take advantage of that. You
Mm-hmm.
may be asking, Tim, like, well, where does that come from? That is a universal principle.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing in nature is working to serve itself. It's working to serve something outside of self.
Mm-hmm.
But nothing in nature is confused about what it is.
Mm-hmm.
It just is.
Yeah.
So hence the title, Centering Yourself. Why? Because when I'm centering myself, then I'm able to own the space that belongs to me. And when I do that, I don't infringe on other things and other people's space that belongs to them.
Yeah.
Then we're able to kind of live in community.
And you know what else comes from that? Ease of flow, right?
Yeah.
I just had this revelation as well. Like once I started meditating and centering, and I started to understand who I am and what my purpose is.
Yes.
Business began to flow without effort, right?
Yes.
And I'm like, wait, what's happening? And what came to me is like the trees outside, right? Yeah. They're not out there marketing for
correct
the environment that they have to be in. And because they are naturally there as a part of the universe, a part of nature, they attract what they need to grow from the earth, right? When you understand who you are and what your purpose is, you don't have to fight to bring it about because it's coming to you because you're just being who you are, right?
Exactly. When you understand that concept, then you really understand that, like, you really don't have to adorn the tree with all of the ornaments,
right,
in order for it to have value.
Yeah.
When you sit in presence, when you sit in beingness, the tree simply being, you realize that as it interacts with the sun, that it being provides shade. As it establishes roots, you realize that the tree provides a sense of stability that I can then lean against it and rest myself.
Yeah.
And I don't have to be in a verbal back and forth with the tree because the tree understands its beingness and it's just being that. So much so, Tim, that if you were driving a car, you're going to do what you have to do to avoid the tree.
Avoid the tree, yeah.
And so imagine if we could embody that.
Yeah, and what the fruit that the tree produces,
yes,
right? It's there for those who need it. And those who need it will come. They will be drawn to it. The tree doesn't have to call out, it just needs to be. This is a powerful, this is almost like the Kybalion. Almost like the Kybalion, man. I'm like, wow, this is something.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, man. And I don't say that lightly. You talk about growth requires us to be a student and a teacher of our own lives. This is what I'm saying. Is this guy like sitting in like a cave with like a shroud on? That,
man, it's probably not not probably, it's not as dramatic as Hollywood would make it, but yeah, there have been moments in my life where I've had to just sit and just be. Sometimes I've had to sit in the light and just be. Sometimes I've had to sit in the dark and just be. And I tell people all the time, Tim, there are three versions of people that I interact with, or I feel like all of us can relate to. One is the person that goes into the dark and stays there. The other one is the person that goes into the dark, they come out into the light, but they swear they've never been to the dark. And then the third one is the person that goes to the dark, comes to the light, but they will tell you about the experiences they had there and what they learned that assist them in the light also. And by doing that, what we find is that there's really no such thing as a good experience or a bad experience. They're just experiences we have, and we get to decide how they impact us and others. And that's what the book does. Exactly. It creates a space for you to sit down with whatever experience you have. It prompts you to not judge it and just observe it. And then ask yourself, what does that mean to me? And how can I take what I've learned and be a steward and be responsible for putting out the type of energy that I feel like is impacting things in a positive way. But the experience itself is neither good or bad. It just is. Which is what we should be. We just are. You don't have to do anything to have a life. You are life. And so the question is, how do you embody that? How do you learn from that? And then how do you take what you learn and create a better question for others to do the same?
There's somebody struggling with this idea, right? And I'm new to embracing this, right? How do you help someone who looks at the world the way it is right now, right?
Mhm.
I'm giving you this
Okay,
softball to knock out the park.
I got you.
All right, we got political unrest, we got
Yeah,
war, we got climate, we got all of these things that look like, oh, the world is crashing. And we understand we create our reality. How do you help people to understand that in everything that's going on right now? That there's no real bad, no real good. It's all your perception.
correct. You know, we are all working to take our perception and move to perspective,
Mm-hmm.
right? So like my perception can be one thing, but when I get an opportunity to sit down with you, Tim, like all of a sudden your perception interacts with my perception, and then we create perspective, which is the bigger picture.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But in the grand scheme of things, life is about acceptance. And you have to ask, like, in general, when you talk to people and they're struggling, it's because they're struggling to accept
Yeah.
either what they saw,
Yeah.
what they heard, what's outside of their idea of
Mm-hmm.
something or someone.
Yeah.
Like it's hard to accept that.
Mm-hmm.
So the journey and centering yourself is about, okay, when I see it, can I accept it? And remember, just because I accepted it doesn't mean I agree with it. They're two totally different concepts,
Mm-hmm.
because I can accept something, and that's what prompts me to start doing the things that allow me to influence that thing the way I intended. But just because I accept it doesn't mean I have to agree or just say, well, that's just the way I am, or just that's just the way it is.
Yeah.
But again, there are things that are in nature. Like for me personally, man, like I'm not a snake person.
Mm-hmm.
In my head, all snakes are venomous. Because whether it has poison in it or not, when it bites me, I'm gonna have a heart attack and it's over. All right. Now, that when I see it though, because I accept that that exists out there too, and yes, it has a role in the ecosystem, then I prompt myself on how I want to interact with it
Mm-hmm.
and not devalue its space.
Mm-hmm.
And too often, what we end up doing, Tim, is we devalue the discomfort.
Yeah.
And when we devalue the discomfort, it shows up as let me disassociate from the thing that doesn't feel good.
Mm-hmm.
But there's wisdom in that thing that doesn't feel good too.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when you sit down with grief, when you sit down with sadness, when you sit down with the broken heart, you liberate yourself from the myth that that thing is there to create your demise.
Right. Right.
And you start to step into a space that says, no, no, liberation, like you said, leads me to the free flow
Mm-hmm.
of energy, the free flow of thought.
Yeah.
And those things lead us toward clarity. And when we
Yeah.
have clarity, then we start to make decisions in our own best interest at a higher frequency.
Yeah. Yeah. You talk about quality over quantity, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Most of
Yeah.
us come up in this system where we're told, even from childhood,
Mm-hmm.
get a good job, get more money. Everything we watch is about getting more quantity, right?
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
grow up and we're moving in that direction, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we started a life, we got jobs, we got bills, we got cars and mortgages. And now we read this book and we're like, I love this book. I want to do it. How do we balance now moving from being in that NASCAR race for quantity and then saying, put the brakes on and let's change direction
Yeah.
and go for quality? How do you balance that?
Well, you have to hold this, what I call this, is called a diunital principle. And that is what you just described is both the easiest thing you could ever do and the hardest thing you could ever imagine at the same time.
Wow.
To make a mind, to change or to shift your mindset.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it takes. Like literally, we have a boom in this economy for Ozempic and Manjaro for people to want to lose weight. But at the heart of that billion-dollar industry, Tim, is literally the will to say, I'm not going to eat that.
Right, right, right.
If you can master that for yourself, there will
Yeah,
be no need for the drug. If you
right.
can master your, like, but it's both the hardest thing you could ever imagine
Yeah.
and the easiest thing you could ever do at the same time.
Wow.
And so it requires us to take reps. We all have reps. Yes, you will sit down with this book, you will record your thoughts. And the only thing that I can promise that if you spend time with the book, you will move from ignorance to potentially willful ignorance.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which means like now.
Yeah.
You can't unknow. At that precipice, you become responsible for knowing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And what I hope happens with the reader is that they understand that this is not a judgment thing, it's simply a progressive thing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's one of the things, I really appreciate being able to work with your publishing company to get the book out, because I brought my material to you and I said, Tim, I want it to look like this.
Mm-hmm.
And you said, okay, well, this is what we're going to do. I didn't say, well, tell me the cheapest way to pull this off.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't say, no, you have a standard for quality at your publishing company, and that matched my standard for quality. And it is quality that creates quantity.
Mm-hmm.
It is quality, like you said, that draws people to your business.
Yeah.
It's not how many people I can tell. It's when people grab the book and they say, well, this is a good book.
Mm-hmm.
Who did it?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then I say, oh, well, you need to talk to Tim. Let me connect you. Why?
Mm-hmm.
Because the quality drives the relationship.
Yeah.
I would rather have 5 true, authentic friends
Mm-hmm.
than 50 shallow,
Right. Yeah.
hard to reach, and wishy-washy people in my life.
Right. Yeah.
And so, yeah, we have to be very intentional about how we formulate our relationship with quality. Why? Because your decisions make up the quality of your life.
Mm-hmm.
I heard a guy say, he says, you were born looking like your parents and you die looking like your decisions.
Wow.
And I want my decisions to be made up of high quality.
I'm still in that one. I need to put that one in my journal.
There you go.
I noticed that the chapters, it almost looks like they feed into each other. Was that the goal?
Yeah, it was twofold, and that was probably the biggest challenge. It's like, okay, how do these things interact with each other sequentially?
Mm-hmm.
But also, I wanted them to have an element or characteristic that I could literally pick this up anywhere and be fed by it.
Mm-hmm.
That it could actually stand alone. And why? Because the first week made for you, Tim, it may have been 3 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
And then I got somebody else who purchased the book and their first week is today.
Mm-hmm.
But they are all like, there's a commonality to show that all of these weeks are kinfolk,
Mm-hmm.
even though they may not be in the same primary family.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we're all related. And
Yeah.
so I wanted individuals to not feel like they had to take it in order. That's why at the beginning of the book, there's an area where you can check off what you were looking at. Because sometimes you just want to open the content. Life is life in that day. You see something that resonates, and I need to read that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I wanted that to be okay also.
Yeah. There's a saying, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. People, I will say, if you get this book, it is time for you to have this book, because this book right here is a life impactful book. And I don't say that lightly. I am not. I'm sure Doc has no reason to believe that I would just be blowing hot air. This book right here is so the depth of it and the density of it, and it's a short read in the respect that each week is just a page and a half, if that, one page to a page and a half. It has been a real honor to be a part of this. At this point, like I want people to know how they can get in contact with you. Like I'm trying to get back in TSU just to take your class, right? But how can people get in contact with you and learn more about what you are doing and what you're trying to do with your literary works?
Yeah, rightfully so. You can follow us on social media at Centered Person, and you can go to the website, centeredperson.com.
Mhm.
Again, initially we are engaged in consulting from individuals from Fortune 500 CEO companies to professional athletes to Grammy Award winning artists to actors that you see in big movies. Like all of these individuals have they've been my client.
Okay.
And so, anytime I'm in that space, I use it as an opportunity to both teach and learn.
Hmm.
And so those avenues are ways that you can contact us, reach out, of course, reach out on the website for the publishing company. You can find the book there for sure. You can find it via the website also. And, I do various speaking engagements, and those things will be coming out as well. But more importantly, it's important to me in this project that you sit down and spend time with yourself
Hmm.
and that you come to know self in a more intimate way. Maya Angelou, this is a loose kind of summary, but she says there should always be a place inside of you that when you take off all of the armor, when you take off all of the external expectations, that you're able to sit inside yourself in that truth
Hmm.
and just be and be honest about what you see and you hear and don't judge it, but be aware that it exists with you too. We are all just one decision away from being in the shoes of the person that you're observing, and God forbid you're judging. So let's do our best to stay in community.
Awesome. I think you have another book coming, right?
Yeah.
Share
Yeah,
about
I'm working
that.
on one right now. Yeah. And of course, it'll be coming to you soon, but it's called In Sacred Tension.
Mm,
And it's about like how we hold things that don't necessarily seem like they go together.
mm,
And I'll just share one of the chapters is about, am I making my decisions from insecurity or intuition?
mm.
As you come to know self, that matters. Why? Because you are working to make the best decision you can.
Yeah.
And if you're making it from insecurity, that may not necessarily be the case. But if you're making it from a true intuition, and in order to grow intuition, you have to spend time with yourself, which is what this book is teaching you before you get to that book.
Yeah. Man, I feel like you've been following me for the last 6 months, man. Like this is the stuff I've been imbibing, just really,
Yeah,
studying. The last quarter of 2024 was like one of my toughest times.
yeah,
And it didn't shift until I released all my
exactly.
expectations of what I should be, stop judging my journey. The
Yes,
moment I released it all, things started to shift. And one of the things I did read was, are you making decisions based on fear or, purpose?
correct,
And
correct.
I was like, I'm like, all of my decisions are based in fear. Even my
Yeah,
drive to succeed is based on fear of the future, right?
yeah, yeah,
And it hasn't been until recently where I really just centered and started to
yes,
understand who I am on this planet and in this reality, that
yeah,
things are just like flowing, like, without effort.
exactly,
So
exactly.
I'm looking forward to reading that book. Like I'm not looking forward to just publishing it. I'm looking forward to reading it.
I'm gonna take both of them, man. And again, I appreciate you and all of your assistance with this. And again, I hope the reader is able to use this. Remember, this is not the end all be all.
Yeah.
And my one of my goals is I want to be useful. I don't want to be used.
Yeah.
So I hope this is useful to the reader and that they're able to take it and have the impact they intended.
Awesome. Listen, everyone, I want you to like, share, and follow this podcast. Follow Dr. Webb. Follow him, centeredperson.com. And let's get the word out about this book,
Absolutely.
Centering Yourself Journal. This book is amazing, powerful.
Thank you. Thank you, Tim. Thank you for your assistance with getting this project off the ground. And, I tell you all the time, I'm sure you and I will be doing much more business in the future.
All right. You all have a wonderful day. Thanks a lot, Doc.
I appreciate you, bro.